You push harder, you give more, you open up on command, and somehow the person you want most drifts further away. The texts get shorter, the tone gets colder. The rules seem to change mid-game while you're still learning the board. That's the pain, right? Not just rejection. The insanity of doing exactly what you were told. Be nicer, be available, be transparent, and watching your value crater the moment you comply. Not do more, but hold a stronger frame. Not talk louder, but read the code beneath the conflict. Not fix faster, but learn the rules the box never prints. Tonight, we crack that code. We'll pull back the curtain on the hidden loops that drive attraction, why requests can double as tests, and how the comparison engine keeps moving the scoreboard while you think the game is paused. No fairy tale varnish, no sugar, just the operating rules that explain why giving everything backfires, why sharing feelings can build intimacy or kill chemistry, depending on how you do it, and why attention isn't love. It's currency. Spend it right and it compounds. Spend it blind and it bankrupts you. Stay to the last second, because once you see the pattern, you won't unsee it. And the next time the game shifts under your feet, you won't panic. You'll spot the loop, hold your frame, and play on purpose. The body of this video starts now. Let's open the box and read the code. You brought a toolbox to a software problem. That's why effort felt useless. You kept tightening bolts while the code kept rewriting itself. Not work harder, but translate the operating system. If the inputs don't match the OS, even perfect behavior returns errors. Think about your last fight that made no sense. You offered fixes, the temperature rose, you promised more time, the distance grew, you revealed more feelings, the spark dimmed. That's not randomness, that's incompatible protocols handshaking, failing, and retrying until both sides time out. What looks like stubbornness is often packet loss. What looks like mixed signals is metadata you never learned to read. Intrigue. Here's the twist that stings. The problem isn't you being too little or too much. It's you speaking problem-solving while the moment requires meaning-making. Not answer the question, but answer the feeling under the question. Not win the point, but win the frame in which the point even matters. When the OS mismatches live, requests can function as diagnostics, not instructions. If you obey the literal request and ignore the diagnostic, you pass the task and fail the test. So what is the mismatch, really? One OS optimizes for immediate felt safety. Do I feel seen, chosen, and secure right now? The other optimizes for efficient resolution. What breaks the loop fastest with the least cost? When safety meets efficiency without translation, both feel betrayed. Safety hears, you're minimizing me. Efficiency hears, you're maximizing drama. Not give more detail, but give the right signal. Presence before proposal. Validation before solution. Boundaries before generosity. Presence calms the system. Validation syncs clocks. Boundaries prevent resource bleed that later mutates into resentment. After that, solutions finally land. Now loop this back to the intro. You were told to be nicer, to give more, to talk longer. But the OS didn't need more volume. It needed the correct protocol. The moment you switched from decoding emotion to defending logic, the handshake failed. And when you tried to compensate by sending more data, long texts, long calls, the network throttled harder. Not communicate more, but communicate in the channel the OS can parse. Hold this open loop. If requests can double as diagnostics, how do you tell which is which in real time? In the next section, we'll unpack the 4-variable algorithm running under the hood, the one that decides whether your effort reads as value, noise, or threat. Once you see those variables toggling, you'll know which packet to send, when to wait, and when to close the app before you crash the system. You asked how to read the diagnostics in real time. Here it is. 4 toggles under the hood that decide whether your move lands as value, noise, or threat. Miss one toggle, and even perfect behavior misfires. Not more effort, but better sequencing. Not louder signals, but the right signal at the right moment. Think back to a night that went sideways for no obvious reason. You showed up, you paid, you listened, and still, something slipped. What changed? The variables did. They shift like live prices on a trading screen. You don't see the graph, but you feel the volatility. A smile that fades, a tone that cools, a topic that suddenly stings. The mistake most people make is to throw more at the fire. More words, more gifts, more time, without checking which toggle flipped. Here's the twist. Attraction isn't a scoreboard of absolute points. It's a live auction of relative signals. Not give everything, but give what wins now. Not be available always, but be available with gravity. Not prove loyalty once, but compete for attention through consistent, calibrated wins. When you treat love like a solved puzzle, you become decor. When you treat it like a living system, you become current. Variable 1 is immediate feeling. The question is simple. How does this make me feel right now? Not tomorrow, not 5 years out. This is the latency check. Presence before proposal. If the present tense feels cold, any future promise reads as sales, not safety. Variable 2 is extractable value. What can be drawn from this situation? Time, attention, status, experiences. This is where requests often double as tests. When you give indiscriminately, you inflate the currency and crash your own market. When you give with boundaries, the gift keeps its weight. Variable 3 is relative position. The mind compares constantly. Friends, feeds, highlight reels. You might be great in absolute terms, yet lose ground if the comparison engine shifts the baseline. That is why stable sometimes reads as slipping. The standard rose around you. The fix is not theatrics. It is visible momentum and scarce attention, paired with steady presence. Variable 4 is option scan. The silent, can I do better? Ticker. This loop never stops. The point isn't to panic. The point is to stay competitive by maintaining frame, mission, and mystery. Not secrecy, but selective transparency. Not buying attention, but earning it through signal and scarcity. Tie this back to the OS mismatch. You were pushing solutions into a channel that was waiting for signals. Once these 4 toggles are green, your solutions land as care, not control. And when one flips red, you know which lever to pull. Warmth, boundary, motion, or mystery. Hold that thought, because in the next section we'll tackle the most confusing part of the system. Why requests often operate as diagnostics, and how obeying the words can fail the test the moment was actually running. You keep following the words and missing the moment. That's why you do exactly what was asked and still lose ground. Not obey faster, but decode smarter. In a live system, a request is often a diagnostic packet. It isn't only about the task, it's checking the structure that delivers it. Think about the last time you leaned in and it went cold. Can you be more open? You opened the vault. The spark dipped. Can we talk more? You texted essays. The replies shrank. Can you be around more? You freed your calendar. The energy flatlined. If the literal answer were the key, those doors would have swung wide. They didn't. So the request wasn't just an instruction. It was probing for frame, bandwidth, and signal quality. Here's the twist that flips outcomes. Not give what was asked, but give what the moment measures. Sometimes the layer under be more open is really, can you hold tension without collapsing? Sometimes under talk more is, can you stay present without spiraling into fixes? Sometimes under be around is, will you show up without losing gravity? When you respond with maximum compliance, you often zero out the very polarity the moment was measuring. You send a perfect answer to the wrong exam. So how do you tell? Start with frame. Frame is the invisible container that tells every action how to read. If your frame wobbles, any gift feels like appeasement. If your frame is steady, the same gift reads as leadership. Not say yes, but say yes from a spine. Next is presence. Presence is how quickly you can join the felt moment before proposing anything. When presence is thin, solutions feel like control. When presence is thick, the same solution feels like care. Not fix first, but feel first, then fix. Then boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates with rules. Requests often test whether your gate exists. If you always swing wide, value bleeds out. If you never open, warmth starves. Calibrated access creates trust. Not give endlessly, but give with edges. Finally, consistency under pressure. Anyone can be charming on green lights. Diagnostics arrive at yellow. Subtle friction, stale vibes, shifting comparisons. The test is whether you stay congruent when those lights flash. Do you chase? Do you lecture? Or do you slow the frame, name the tension, and keep your center? Stability isn't silence, it's signal with timing. Loop back to the earlier toggles. If immediate feeling is cold, address presence. If extractable value is spiking, tighten boundaries. If relative position slipped, show motion, not apologies. If the option scan is humming, increase gravity, mission, momentum, and selective availability. In other words, answer the measurement, not just the words. Hold this open loop for the next section. The resource stream that used to be money and protection now often shows up as attention and validation. If attention is the new currency, what's the exchange rate? And how do you stop spending like a rookie without turning stingy? We're about to rewire your economy. The economy changed. The old currency was money, protection, provision. The new currency is attention, validation, and experience. If you're paying in dollars while the market trades in dopamine, you'll look generous and still go broke. Not more spending, but smarter signaling. Not constant access, but calibrated presence. Ever notice how doing everything right can still feel like nothing? You plan the date, send the good morning text, stay on the phone till midnight, and the vibe doesn't lift. That's not ingratitude, that's inflation. When attention floods the system without edges, the price of attention collapses. The market reads abundance, not value. Saturation kills signal. Here's the twist. It's not that attention doesn't matter. It matters so much that quality beats quantity. Not give more, but give weight. Not reply faster, but reply with gravity. Present, concise, congruent. Not be available always, but be reliably reachable within rules you're proud of. Scarcity isn't punishment. It's proof that your life has a pulse. Think in terms of attention hygiene. First, budget. Decide what you can genuinely deliver on busy days, not just on perfect days. Promise that, then keep it. Reliability is sexier than a sugar rush. Second, cadence. Replace constant micro-pings with intentional touchpoints. A high-signal voice note after a focused day beats 10 scattered texts during meetings. Third, containers. Create windows where you are all in. A phone-down dinner, a 20-minute walk, a late-night debrief. Depth in containers feels like abundance. Drip without presence reads like crumbs. Fourth, edges. Say no cleanly. Can't talk right now. Deadline. I'm back at 8. Edges make your yes mean something. If you never gate your time, the system assumes your time has no cost. Fifth, signals. Lead with presence before content. I'm here. Then, here's what I heard. Then, here's what I think. Presence stabilizes. Content persuades. Invert that order, and even good ideas feel like control. Sixth, experiences over items. When the currency is memory, build scenes, not stacks. It's not the price of dinner. It's the frame you create around it. The inside joke, the unexpected view, the moment you noticed and said it out loud. And seventh, mission. Attention without a mission becomes attention-seeking. A clear North Star, work, craft, health, service, turns your limited availability into a feature, not a flaw. The market rewards motion. Tie this back to diagnostics. If immediate feeling is low, increase presence inside a container. If extractable value is spiking, endless asks, endless access, tighten edges so your yes regains weight. If relative position slipped, show momentum in your world. Don't buy it with trinkets. If the option scan hums, raise your gravity. Mission, momentum, mystery. Not secrecy, but selective transparency. Share the chapter, not the whole book. Keep one loop open as we move forward. Even perfect attention hygiene can be undercut by a force you don't see, the comparison engine. It recalibrates the scoreboard in the background while you're delivering all the right signals. Next, we'll expose how that engine works, why stable can read like stagnant, and how to create visible momentum without turning your life into a performance. You can run perfect attention hygiene and still lose altitude. Why? Because another system is moving the goalposts while you play. It's silent, fast, and always on. Not a single critic, but a chorus. Not one rival, but a feed. The comparison engine doesn't ask, "Are you good?" It asks, "Are you better than what's on the screen right now?" Curiosity. Think about a week that felt stable. No fights, no drama. You kept your promises. Then, subtle chill. Eye contact shorter. Laughs lighter. Energy off by a few degrees. Nothing obvious happened. Something did. The baseline shifted. A friend announced a promotion. A couple posted a Bali montage. A highlight reel slid by at lunch. It's not that your dinner lost flavor. It's that the menu expanded. Stability didn't suddenly become bad. It became harder to feel in a room flooded with novelty and status. Here's the twist. Not do more, but show momentum. Not buy bigger, but signal trajectory. The engine ranks in motion, not medals. Yesterday's win decays fast in a world that scrolls. When you try to outspend the feed, you look like you're chasing it. When you outpace the feed, quietly, you reset the frame. You turn comparison into context for your rise. Start with visibility. Momentum that no one sees doesn't stabilize anything. Yet performance theater burns trust. The line is thin. Reveal progress without turning your life into a billboard. Share the chapter, not the book. Training for Saturday's 10K, not I'm the new me forever. Prototype shipped, not I'm crushing it 24/7. Short, concrete, lived. Next is novelty with continuity. The engine punishes stale, but it also flags chaos. Rotate your scenes within a consistent world. Tuesday workout, new route. Friday dinner, new spot. Same rituals, fresh details. Not reinvent yourself weekly, but refresh the frame regularly. The brain needs anchors and edges. Then status, the honest kind. Status isn't a flex, it's proof of contribution. Competence at something that matters. A craft advancing. A team counting on you. Excellence speaks in receipts, results, reliability, referrals. When status is rented, labels, name drops, the engine smells it. When status is earned, comparison tilts in your favor. Because your story has gravity. Now connection. The engine doesn't just compare resources, it compares resonance. Do you make the room feel more alive? Do you notice and name the moment others miss? A line said at the right second outruns 1,000 likes. Presence beats spectacle because presence scales intimacy, not just optics. Finally, scarcity with warmth. If you're everywhere, you're background. If you're nowhere, you're noise. A clear mission carves natural scarcity. Reliable touchpoints add warmth. The engine reads that as value held, not value begged. Not be available always, but be consistently reachable on your terms. Tie this back to earlier toggles. Immediate feeling lifts when your presence is real. Extractable value stays healthy when your yes has weight. Relative position rises when your trajectory is visible, not performative. Option scan quiets when gravity, mission, momentum, mastery keeps pulling attention back. Hold an open loop for what's next, because the engine doesn't just compare, it selects. Markets do that, and modern dating is a market. Coming up, we'll map the 80-20 reality, why baselines keep inflating, and how to compete without turning yourself into a commodity. Not be everything to everyone, but be unmistakable to the right someone. If the comparison engine is the scoreboard, the market is the crowd, and the crowd plays favorites. Attention doesn't spread evenly, it pools. Not a fair fight, but a power law. Not equal chances, but outsized returns for standout signals. That's why a small slice gets most of the inbound, while the rest fight for scraps. You've seen it. One profile draws a flood, another barely pings. Same city, same apps, same bars, different gravity. It's not just looks or money, it's stack. Signal stack, mission, momentum, mastery, and mystery, plus warmth. When that stack spikes, the market responds. When it's flat, even nice moves get ignored. The mistake is to believe the market is broken, then opt out or rage. The smarter move is to learn its math and play a different game. Here's the twist. Not be more, but be more specific. Not please everyone, but be unmistakable to the right someone. General value gets commoditized, specific value gets chased. The 80-20 skew punishes generic, it rewards distinct. The second twist, the market doesn't buy potential, it buys proof. Hints work in fiction, receipts win in reality. Think of roles, not labels. The market sorts signals into buckets, magnet, anchor, or background. The magnet has pull, mission in motion, edges, calm under pressure. The anchor has reliability, steadiness, resources, care, but risks reading as static if nothing moves. The background blends, pleasant, agreeable, forgettable. These aren't fixed identities. They're states produced by your stack in this season. To move up market, build magnet traits without losing anchor trust. Start with mission. A clear direction you drive weekly. It doesn't have to be flashy. It has to be real. A craft, a company, a cause, a body of work. Mission creates narrative. Narrative creates pull. Then momentum. Show motion in small, verifiable steps. Ship, train, learn, earn. Momentum turns time into a compounding signal. Next, mastery, not bragging rights, not demonstrated competence. People trust the competent because competence reduces risk. Pair this with mystery, selective transparency. Share chapters, not the whole book. Curiosity multiplies attention, oversharing discounts it. Now add warmth. Without warmth, you're a statue. Presence, humor, perceptiveness, the ability to lighten heavy rooms. Warmth is the bridge that lets gravity land. Availability is its own lever. If you're always open, you're background. If you're never open, you're noise. Be consistently reachable on your terms. Scarcity with reliability keeps your value high without playing games. Pricing matters. Don't discount yourself to win short term. Discounts train the market to expect more for less. Hold your frame. Raise your floor. Replace convince with qualify. Not chase every yes, but filter for the right yes. Tie this back to earlier parts. When the 4 variables read green, you become current. When the comparison engine shifts, you show motion, not panic. In a skewed market, distinct, proven signals pull you into the 20. You don't need to be everything. You need to be obvious to the right eyes. Hold one loop open as we pivot. Markets don't only respond to logic, they surge on emotion. And emotions in high-stakes moments are tactical. Next, we'll decode how feelings function as signals, why oversharing at the wrong time kills polarity, and how to open up without dropping your frame. Not hide your heart, but time your heart. Markets don't just move on facts, they lunge on feelings. That's why a single moment can swing the whole frame. Not feel less, but feel smarter. Not shut down, but show up with signal control. When stakes rise, emotions become instruments. Played well, they tune connection. Played poorly, they detune attraction fast. Think of the last high-heat moment. A sharp comment, a delayed reply, a plan that fell through. You rushed to explain. You over-texted. You apologized 3 times before anyone asked. The mood didn't recover. It sagged. Why? Because the room wasn't testing data. It was testing your nervous system. Can you hold tension without collapsing? Can you stay present without scrambling to fix? The content looked like, what did you do? The measurement underneath was, who are you under pressure? Here's the twist. Not share everything, but share with center. Not prove you care, but prove you can contain. Oversharing at the wrong time doesn't build intimacy, it bleeds polarity. Dumping your fears into a hot moment asks the other person to be your regulator. That flips roles, drains charge, and teaches the system to see you as a load, not a lead. The paradox is brutal. Honesty builds trust, yet unbounded honesty kills spark. The difference is timing, dosage, and frame. Start with breath before text. When emotion spikes, your first impulse is usually the worst message. Put a timer on it, 10 slow breaths or 20 steps outside. Regulate first, respond second. You're not stonewalling, you're protecting signal quality. Next, name the weather, not the verdict. That landed sharp for me. Beats. You always do this. Weather invites repair. Verdict invites defense. Presence before proposal. Again. Now containment. Containment is the art of holding charge without leaking neediness. You can be warm and steady at once. I hear you. I'm here. Let's unpack it at 8 when I'm clear. Short, grounded, bounded. That line signals 3 things at once: empathy, availability, leadership. You're not avoiding. You're scheduling the repair at a time you can deliver. Add selective vulnerability. You don't hide your inner world. You pace it. Share the processed version, not the raw download. Losing my dad still hits me. Some days I go quiet. I'm working on naming it faster. That's truth with spine. It invites closeness without handing over the steering wheel. Then micro recovery. After a misstep, don't write a novel. Offer a receipt. I snapped. I own it. Reset. Clean ownership resets polarity better than paragraphs of self-critique. Recovery is a skill signal. It says, conflict doesn't drown me. I swim. Finally, gravity under scrutiny. High-value signals fail if your center wobbles under casual pressure. A teasing jab, a social comparison, a flirt thrown your way. Laugh, redirect, or lean into the moment without over-justifying. Not defend your worth, but demonstrate it effortlessly. The system is watching. Do you chase validation, or do you hold value? Loop this into everything we've built. Immediate feeling warms when you regulate first. Extractable value stays sane when you don't flood attention to buy calm. Relative position rises when you recover with receipts, not drama. Option: scan quiets when your nervous system reads dependable, not volatile. Keep one door open as we head to the last body section. It's time to codify this into rules you can run under pressure. Not memorize lines, but install a playbook, boundaries, cadence, conflict scripts, and exit criteria, so your frame holds when the room tilts. You don't rise to the level of your intentions, you fall to the level of your systems. When the room tilts, memory blurs and instincts panic. Not remember everything, but run the playbook. If the rules live in your mouth, they fail. If they live in your calendar and habits, they hold. Think about the last time you knew better and still over-texted, over-explained, or over-gave. You didn't lack knowledge, you lacked rails. Knowledge whispers, systems steer. What you need now is a set of defaults that fire under pressure. How you give attention, how you set edges, how you handle conflict, and when you exit. With rails in place, you stop negotiating with every wave. Here's the twist. Not be flexible always, but be predictable in what matters. Not say yes until it feels wrong, but pre-decide your yes and no. Predictability creates safety. Edges create value. Together, they create a frame where attraction can breathe. When you improvise everything, you signal scarcity of spine. When you standardize the core and improvise the flavor, you signal leadership. Start with attention. Presence before proposal, always. That means you open most exchanges with a short, grounded acknowledgement of the moment and the person, not a fix or a defense. Keep a cadence you can hit on bad days, not just on good ones. If your life is full, say so and live so. A full life is an asset, not a flaw. Reliable touchpoints beat constant drip. Depth beats volume. When in doubt, create containers. Phone down dinners, a Sunday walk, a nightly debrief. So attention has walls and weight. Edges come next. Boundaries are promises to yourself. Decide your non-negotiables before the heat. You don't cancel core commitments to chase calm. You don't respond to disrespect with more effort. You don't explain a no more than once. Not be hard, but be clear. Clarity is kind. Edgeless giving breeds resentment, then contempt, then collapse. Conflict needs choreography. Regulate first. Name the weather, not the verdict. Offer a time to repair you can actually keep. Share the processed truth, not the raw dump. Own cleanly. Reset quickly. If the moment is a diagnostic disguised as a request, answer the measurement. Warmth if the room is cold. Boundary if asks spike. Visible motion if comparison flares. Gravity if options hum. Not win the point, but win the frame. Run a qualification filter. You don't convince, you calibrate. If standard requests become constant audits, if respect erodes when you hold edges, if attention only buys quiet for a day, you're not in a partnership, you're in a drain. Your playbook includes exit criteria, not end at the first friction, but end when patterns refuse repair. Leave early and clean rather than late and bitter. Finally, install a mission loop. Mission creates natural scarcity. Scarcity raises the price of your yes. The market respects what you respect. When you move with purpose, warmth, and edges, you become magnet and anchor at once. Pull without need. Steadiness without stagnation. Tie this back to everything we've built. The 4 variables become dials you can read. The comparison engine becomes context, not court. The 80-20 market becomes filter, not fate. Emotions become instruments you can play instead of alarms that play you. Hold this frame, because in the conclusion, we'll close every open loop and hand you a simple post-video checklist you can run tomorrow morning without thinking. Not try harder, but run the system. You started this thinking you needed more effort. You leave knowing you needed a different operating system. Not more noise, but better signals. Not constant availability, but presence with edges. Not endless fixing, but reading the code under the conflict. When you match your moves to the real loops, emotion, extraction, comparison, the quiet, can this be better? The chaos makes sense. It isn't madness, it's mechanics. So draw the line. Stop playing a board game in a live market. Treat attention like currency. Guard your frame like infrastructure. Share feelings, but time them. Give, but give with boundaries. You don't have to be colder. You have to be clearer. Not less heart. More structure for your heart to live in. That's the update. If this landed, don't just nod. Lock it in. Comment the one rule you're installing first and why. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next drop. Share this with the friend who keeps doing everything right and losing anyway. Thank you for watching, for your time, and for trusting me to rewrite the manual with you. Next up, we go hands-on. Live scripts and timing. 3 signals that raise your value in 7 days. 1 sentence that flips a test without drama. The perfect window to share feelings without killing chemistry. You'll hear the lines, see the beats, and know exactly when to press send. Stay sharp. Keep your frame. From this moment on, stop talking to the wrong OS and start running the code that actually works.